This is Angela Mannella-Hoffman, and you're listening to the Studio Success Formula Podcast.
Welcome to the Studio Success Formula Podcast, the business school for dance studio owners. And now for your host, Clint Salter.
Hi, dance studio owners. It's Clint Salter from Studio Success Formula, and thank you for joining us for today's episode with someone who is just like you. They're a dance studio owner. Our guest today is the artistic director of More Than Dance, which is based in Minnesota. Her and I first connected last year when she became a member of the Studio Success Formula program, and I knew I just had to get her on the show to share her wealth of knowledge when it comes to owning and operating a successful studio. Now, I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about her and all of her great things that she's doing with her studio and with her life. Please welcome our guest on the show today, Angela Mannella-Hoffman. Hello, Angela.
Hi, Clint.
Great to have you.
Nice to talk with you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
awesome. Love having our members on the show. Now, Angela, many of our audience members might not know who you are. So if you could just give us a little bit of background on you and your studio, that'd be awesome.
Great. I was a child performer, so I started doing commercials and theater when I was about 8. And whenever I would go to auditions and things, I would do really well because I knew how to sing, dance, and act. And I was asked to teach a lot and different things like that. So as I grew up and was doing more dancing and more acting, I realized that I really wanted to pass that on. And so I opened my studio about 5 years ago.
Okay, awesome. And so you were 8 years old. Were you doing commercials? Were you doing shows? I mean, what type of work?
I was doing commercials. I was doing shows. I was touring the country with different shows. A lot of different things. I really loved it. So it was just a blessing for me to get to do it.
And I'd love to know, what do you think it was that you received from the training you did at that early age that made you employable at such a young age?
Well, I think it was the fact that I knew how to be professional in situations, but I also knew I had very strong dance technique, but I also knew that there were other parts to auditioning rather than just being a good performer. There's a whole other skill to the audition process, and that's something I teach too at my studio, is how that is so different than actually getting cast in a show. So I think I was able to understand that at a very young age.
And is that something you learned through your teachers at where you
Absolutely.
were training, through your parents? I mean, are your parents from an entertainment background at all?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
But I learned it a little bit from my family. I'm the youngest of 9 kids, so if I would do anything, everybody would clap for me. So I really liked applause, I guess.
You had a bit of an audience then, being
I
one
had
of 9.
a bit of an audience, yes, every day. But my teachers were fabulous, and they really just kind of guided me through and kept me grounded and kept me working hard, but kind of gave me some insight into the industry.
Yeah, awesome. Now, you've touched on this triple threat kind of
Sure.
theme. So I'd love to know at your studio, I know you offer classes in dance, singing and acting. Because you focus on kind of all of those aspects, what's been a really big challenge, I guess, for you when it comes to offering such a variety of classes and trying to fill numbers in the classes across the board?
Absolutely. It's almost sometimes as if I have 3 studios, because each of the different tracks has its own set of issues and concerns. I found that combining like our musical theater classes, those are our most popular classes, because then you can give students some dance plus some singing and acting all incorporated into it. But it is a challenge. It is a challenge to get everything the top level of where I want it to be.
Yeah, and do you offer, straight dance, straight acting, straight singing as well?
Yes, we do. And those dance classes are very high in numbers for that. Our singing classes, we have, that's a smaller amount of people that take that class. And then our just acting is a smaller amount. But when we combine them into our musical theater, a lot of our students will take a musical theater class and then like a ballet class or something like that. So it really gives them kind of the whole experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, doing a musical theatre class then allows them to say, you know what, I really love this element. I want to focus a bit more of that. So then that's when they might funnel into the singing, the acting, or the dance as well.
Absolutely. But it helps all of them to be cross going to these different classes in anything, whether they decide to do the dance track, it helps them to know some acting and singing. If they want to just do the singing track, it's good for them to know movement and acting as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, I want to talk about competition because, with all of our members, we talk about it a lot of the time, but today more than ever, there are more dance studios opening up on every corner, it feels like. How do you stay focused on building your studio without getting distracted by others and what they're doing? And what's your kind of take on competitors?
Sure. I actually try to talk to the competitors, introduce myself, and we've had competitors in the area where we've worked together actually to do master classes or different things like that. They've sent some students over to me. If we don't have a class that I think is right for an inquiry, sometimes I can guide them over to there as well. So it's very hard. I mean, it's hard not to kind of look at everything they're doing and want to copy it. But I just feel if you really put out good vibes, it will come back to you.
I agree. And I think it's great. What we're always talking about as well is if you can work with them, so that you've got a mutual respect for each other's business and what each of you are doing, and you all know what you're great at. There's a reason people come to your studio. There's a reason people go to the studio up the road. And that's about knowing, obviously, your ideal students that you want to bring in to your studio, and you've done all of that work. And so the joint masterclasses, I mean, that's a great, those types of things are awesome, to bring together the community, the dance community in your local area to be able to do things together. Awesome.
Yeah, it's also great publicity too, because then, the local newspaper will follow up on it or things like that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a win-win. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Now, as a dance studio owner, we always want to ensure that our studio is top of mind with potential new dance families. So what are a few marketing strategies that have worked well for you when it comes to being a studio that people know of and reach out to in your community?
Sure. One of the biggest things for me is I try to have a personal relationship with each of my families. So a lot of time I'll see them either at church or at the grocery store, and I'll ask them. I have a good way of remembering names. So that's been really helpful. They just kind of spark something in them. But one thing that we did that was really great was I got T-shirts for our studio, and I sold them for $10. If you bought a T-shirt and I saw you wearing it, so if I'm at the grocery store and you're there wearing the T-shirt or someplace else, I would give you a coupon for $10 off your tuition.
Wow, okay.
So people would do it just because, it was like a free T-shirt. But it was great because then our logo and things were out in the community more. So I've done that. That was kind of a fun thing. I also I had made some bags, like some drawstring bags with our logo on it. And anytime anybody even comes into the studio for an inquiry or anything, we give them a bag. It costs me like $2, but it really seems to make a difference because it kind of opens up their mind that we're actually trying to look out for them a little bit. I know it sounds ridiculous, but
no,
it really is.
Yeah, makes complete sense.
Yeah, and then our bag is all over the city. They bring it to school or different places like that. And then the other thing that we do is we do a full-length production of a musical every other year, and that has really helped bring in students as well and been a good marketing tool because the publicity for that is so different than a recital per se. So we're getting a lot of different news outlets and different things like that. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, how do you go about marketing that kind of annual musical versus your recital? I'm assuming that the musical is more external.
Yes, it's more external. We bring in a lot of students to be in the musical, and then we have different schools and things like that we can send. They're more apt to get marketing for an actual production than a recital, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's usually a familiar title so that people are very aware of it. And we really try to market it out. But really, honestly, the most important thing that I think is really the personal connection to keep people updated on what's going on. I send notes all the time just saying, we miss you, hope to see you sometime soon, or, just asking how they are. And those little things seem to make a difference in the long run.
Oh, 100%. I mean, in the program, I'm always talking about building a relationship, whether it's online marketing, offline marketing, retention, past student strategies. I mean, it's all that's what your biz. I think any dance studio is built on a foundation of relationships. So I love that is a really strong focus for you.
Well, thank you. And we also have our birthday basket. So we send out a postcard each month to everybody who has birthdays. And then if they bring their postcard in, they get to choose a prize from our birthday bucket. So just little things like that help with retention as well.
Yeah, 100%. And look, you've brought up birthday, so I'd love to ask you a question about that, because I know that you offer birthday parties at your studio. And I often talk about offering birthday parties as an additional income stream, but they're also great for marketing your studio, because you're bringing in potential new students that might not necessarily have found your studio any other way. So how do you go about working these parties into your offering?
Sure. We do our parties on the weekends. We have a time, like a 2-hour slot on Saturdays and a 2-hour slot on Sundays that we do. It has been amazing for marketing, because you're not only giving a tour to 15 new kids, you're also teaching them something. So we have, usually our parties are a themed party. And we start with some crafts while the kids are coming in, and then we do a dance class and do some fun dance games and cake and ice cream and things like that. But then at the end, we show a little performance of kind of a little song that we've done. So the parents are really impressed, because in the course of 2 hours, their child brings home a craft, has learned to dance and learned some new, dance terminology, things like that. But it's been fabulous for us for marketing, because every goodie bag that I pass out gives like a free class card. So kids are coming into the studio on a regular basis, having a great time with their friends. And in, the photos, we have our logo, things like that. So it's I would say for every dance studio owner to have birthday parties at your studio. It's phenomenal.
And I agree with you, and we talk about the different ways that you can do that, but you've done it extremely well. And it sounds like, again, you've got a system in place. You know, it's not just like come in and, whack something together with these children. You've actually got, here are our, because I think I saw on your website, you've got a frozen party, which which is still all the rage at the moment.
We have 4 this coming up month. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of studio owners, when it comes to birthday parties, they go, "Oh, Clint, but it's so much more work." But you've just explained there the benefits of offering birthday parties is yes, it's additional revenue, but the marketing opportunity. And again, you're smart, because you're leveraging the opportunity by giving them something, that free class pass, that offer in their goodie bag as they leave and go home and show mum all the great stuff that they've done.
Right. And, if any of the members have any questions about how to structure birthdays, I'm more than happy to do that. It's almost like a birthday in a box, because we kind of do the same thing each time, but it's really successful.
Yeah. Again, perfect. Birthday in a box, you've systemized it. And so, a birthday party comes along and you know exactly how it's going to roll out. Right.
And then other people can do it. So I don't have to set it up anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
My office staff can set it up, and I can just go in and teach.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Now, I want to just turn the tables a little bit. And one of the biggest concerns I receive from studio owners is that they feel like they can't fully give their teachers and staff freedom to run the studio, because they think they might run off and open up a studio, down the road, which happens a lot of the time. So how do you let go of some control without losing touch of your studio completely?
Yeah, I actually ask this very casually in the interview process. Just asking, are you ever interested in owning your own studio, or where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years? So then I can kind of get an idea too, if that's maybe a track that they're on. I really try to be open with them. If I do have a teacher who does want to open a studio at some point, I actually try to help them, not, to go off and run off with my students. We have a non-compete clause and things like that. but I try to kind of mentor them as to, what it would be like. And they kind of understand that it's a lot of work. I think that's really important for them to know that it's not just earning the money. I mean, for, a while, there was nothing coming in and all the work going out. You know what I mean? So I try to do that. I also do put a non-compete clause in their contracts just as a safeguard.
Just saying it's very important.
Yeah, as a safeguard for all of us. And then I don't let them personally contact the students except through the studio, as far as like on Facebook or email or things like that, just to have a consistency across the board. And that sometimes helps with them not taking students as well.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, you've got to maintain a professional relationship.
Right.
I think that's excellent, excellent advice. And again, you're smart. You've put in, it sounds like your studio is very systemized, which is great. Yeah, of course. To a certain extent, you obviously need some flexibility there.
Right.
But when it comes to the business processes,
Sure.
that, a new teacher comes in and you're like, okay, this is, here's our interview process, and then this is the way that we work.
Right. Well, thanks to you. You've helped a lot. The formula has helped a lot.
Well, that's good.
So thank you.
That's good. That's what we're here for. Now, one of the other questions I get a lot, and you'll see it, in our VIP group as well, is that we talk a lot about, being productive and focused during the day because, as a dance studio owner, you don't have a 9-to-5 job. You kind of have like a 7 to 10 job. You start at 7 in the morning, you might finish at 10 at night. And so there's parts during the day where you might have a couple of hours off, or you might need to do something with the children or whatever it might be. So how do you start your day to ensure that you're as productive and efficient as possible?
Sure. This is a thing that I struggle with constantly. I start every morning by praying. That helps me kind of get focused on what I need to do for that day.
Yep.
But I've really tried to make the week into sizable chunks. So Mondays I'll work on marketing, or Fridays I'll work on finances. Because when I wasn't doing that and trying to do everything just when I got into the office, it was completely overwhelming. So for me, I can only do so much in a day, and I try to really systematically focus what that is for that day. But there's always things that come up. And so it's just really trying to stay focused and understanding that I can't do it all, but that if I can, get to the gym, if I can take some time for me, it's like sharpening the axe. You need to take it away to sharpen it a little bit, and then it comes back even stronger.
Yeah, and that is such an important lesson, isn't it? And you probably would have seen it with other studio owners as well. And I know when I had my studio, you sometimes just work and work and work and work, and you come right down the end of the list. Everyone else is on top of you. And I always say, if you don't work, nothing does. And so it's so important that you look after yourself. So thank you for mentioning, yes, take time out and go to the gym. Take time out for yourself. It's so crucial.
Right.
Also for your sanity as well.
Yes. Yes.
Look, I've loved chatting to you. Angela, what's kind of your last piece of advice that you'd love to leave our studio owners out there with who want to take their studio to the next level?
Sure. I would say to right away see it as a business. Even though it's something that you love and something that you're passionate about, it needs to be structured in a business type setting. I made mistakes by being too friendly or too giving instead of seeing it as a business. And you can see it as a business and still make a huge impact in the lives of other people.
Such a great lesson, about making impact and income. I think there's those two things. I was writing an article the other day that was titled something like "It's okay to make money," because it's literally like you are running a business. Do you think and you've learned that over the years that you've had your studio, I mean, to a certain extent, is it about removing emotion as well? Because a lot of studio owners get really caught up because they spend so much time there. They get caught up with, forming personal relationships with a lot of parents, students, teachers, because it becomes their life. So what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think you have to set boundaries, and I think you have to do that right away. I am friends with a lot of my clients and a lot of the parents, but there's certain times that you need to step away. So I don't tell the ones who are my friends all of the business aspect. I don't bring their personal lives into the studio here. I think it just is really important to set boundaries. And the hard thing with the emotions is that if you don't have systems in place, the emotions can really take over. If you know that there's a system in place and these are the steps to doing certain things, you can really kind of take yourself out of the emotional aspect of it and leave that for, working with the students, feeling inspired, things like that.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Now, where can people go to, if our audience is listening and they want to find out more about you and your studio, have you got a website that they can go to?
I do. Yes, it's More Than Dance, MOORE, thendance.com.
Perfect. Excellent. Angela, awesome to chat with you. And I just want to thank you for, as one of our members, reached out to our members saying, hey guys, love to have you on the podcast to talk about the great things that you're doing in your studio, and you stepped up. So really grateful for you to come on the show and share some of the amazing things that you're doing with your studio.
Well, thank you. I'm very thankful for you.
We're thankful for each other.
That's right.
Thanks again. It's been great chatting.
You as well.
Do you have a burning business question for Clint? Are you coming up against a challenge in your studio that you need help with? Go to studiohotseat.com today and record your question for Clint. If you're lucky, Clint will answer your question in an upcoming podcast episode. Get expert help today from someone who works with hundreds of dance studio owners every year. Again, head to studiohotseat.com to record your question for Clint today.